Welcome to Badly Written Boy, a reciting of my teenage years and my 20s, now as a 40-something. How do I remember all these things? I wrote it all down in a diary. Badly. Enduring with me on this retrospective, cringeworthy experience is my wife, who has never read my diaries. Welcome to another episode of Badly Written Boy. My name's Mark. Jess is eating raisin toast, so I will get things underway.
Don't do it with me chewing in the background. It'll sound great.
That's the way it is. Saturday, 11th of April, 1998.
Oh my God.
It was quite a drive from Newcastle to East Wales, where I'll be staying for a week. I feel a bit guilty on Richard's behalf, as Fizz has gone away for a week as well, so we've kind of temporarily ditched him. I don't want to tell you how many spelling mistakes are on that whole sentence.
I quite like that temporarily.
Temporarily. Temporarily. Having driven down and managed to avoid the likes of Liverpool, Manchester and Birmingham, we managed to find the cottage where we were staying in, which is in a small village called...
Who knows?
There's just a blank.
A small village called...
There's literally just called just the mysterious village.
Maybe you were planning on doing some kind of like extraneous research and just forgot to come back.
Or maybe I just couldn't spell the weird Welsh spelling.
But when has you not being able to spell ever stopped you doing anything?
I know. I just need to put in a bunch of L's and a bunch of random other letters, and then that's the name of the Welsh place. Mm-hmm. The cottage we're in is in black and white, appropriate Newcastle colours, and was larger inside than on the outside.
Ooh, it's a TARDIS.
Yeah. Mum was glad to see there was an upstairs and downstairs toilet for Mr. Bladder's sake, as Philip hogs our only one back home. Masturbating. We've all got our own beds, and the house has all the appropriate facilities. Let me tell you about the bath.
Still upset with baths.
I think I've mentioned baths before.
I feel like there was maybe one instance, but I'm sure it will become more frequent.
The bath is a fine thing. It's the largest I've ever been in, and although it's a bit rough and used, if I could take home one object from the house, sounds like I want this bath, it'd be the bath.
Hang on. Why are you going to get a bath in a car?
Just tie it to the roof.
So, what a ridiculous statement to make.
And that's all there is for 1998.
Is that it?
I know.
We're into 1999. We start in July, halfway through. So how old are we in 1999?
At this point, about...
Turning 17. So you'd be 16.
Yeah.
16 turning 17.
Yep.
Okay, the end is nigh. No, just kidding. This is no bonehead prophecy. Reading just another diary. Today was a waste of time and was a day I'd been looking forward to all week. Originally, I'd anticipated Phil to come from Fenham and show him my new house and new room. Oh, is this when you moved into Crammy?
I think this is into Cramington, yeah.
Yeah. But when I rang him, spelled W-R-A-N-G, rang here.
Oh dear.
When I rang him this morning, he said he couldn't come because the new five-a-side leak started today. Also today, Kieran Dyers, £6 million, Ipswich to Newcastle.
I'd just like to say, I've spelt it terribly. Kieran Dyers.
What's his name?
Kieran Dyer.
Oh, okay. I completely wasted today. I am in desperate need of motivation from something or someone. I get my motivation usually from socialising, but not a lot of that goes on at the moment. I don't know why, but the reality of going to Australia in a few weeks' time doesn't seem to give me a kick of motivation. Inside, I haven't realised I'm going yet. How long did you go for when you were 16? Because you got to go when you were 14.
Yeah, it was probably, on this one, it was maybe like 3 weeks.
Did your dad pay for it again?
I think so.
And did you go back on your own this time?
I went with Phil.
You went with Phil?
Yeah.
My laid-back attitude about this and life in general really pisses Mum off. And continues to do so into your 40s. Also today, 2nd of 5 undergraduate booklets arrive for possible courses in landscape architecture. Oh, you wanted to do it from the start then?
From quite an early stage.
This one came from Leeds Metropolitan. I need to see which A-levels each uni requires. So your top 5 song favourites of the moment. So coming in at number 5 is Good Thing by Fine Young Cannibals. What's that one? I don't know it.
I'm not going to sing them all.
No, you don't have to sing them all because I'll sing the ones that I know, which is 3 of them.
Yeah.
So how does that one go?
Good thing. Where have you gone? Doop, doop, dooby, doop, good thing.
Don't know it.
It's by the guys that did She Drives Me
I'm
Crazy.
thinking about good. No, that's Good Vibrations.
Yeah. You know that song, She Drives Me Crazy?
Yeah.
That's the same people that did that.
I know, but I don't know that Good Thing song. Okay. Hot Stuff. I'm assuming it's not looking for some hot stuff, baby, this evening. That's the right one, isn't it?
That sounds like the Rolling Stones, doesn't it?
Okay, I said that I knew it, but I don't. That's Hot Stuff.
That stuff. I can't even sing it. It's just another one you'll have to listen to.
And then you've got Black Beatty, which I'm assuming is Black Betty.
Beatty.
Which is, whoa, Black Betty, bam, bam. I know that one.
Yeah.
Number 2, Build Me Up Buttercup, classic.
You know that one?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Why do you build me up, build me up? Somebody, there was this girl called Shawneen.
What kind of name is that?
Don't say that out loud.
It's a made-up name.
Her parents named her Shawneen.
Shawneen?
Yeah, maybe it's like Irish. Maybe they wanted someone called Sean.
Sean and Maureen merged into one.
Oh, like it's just like the female version of Sean. Shawneen.
Would that not be Shauna?
Yes, that's his parents. I don't know. I'm not her parents. Anyway, we used to work together at Topshop, and she was this tiny, gorgeous girl. And at college, we had like a talent show, and she got up and sang Build Me Up Buttercup, and she had like the biggest, roughest guys you could imagine singing back up, and like she was in the middle singing, these guys like ba-da-ba, like doing it, and I can still remember it now. It's the funniest thing.
Was it a talent show?
Yeah, it was a talent show, but she couldn't find anyone else to do backup, so she ended up getting these guys who were literally like the bullies of the whole college.
That would have made it funnier.
It was really, really funny. Like, dude, because every time I remember them like standing on the side and going like side to side. I wish it was on. I wish it was filmed or something. It was really funny. Anyway, number 1, Jumping Jack Flash by the Rolling Stones, which I also don't know.
Well,
but I feel like I would know it.
It didn't come out then. I just was really into the Rolling Stones at the time.
But I feel like I would know it. Can you give me a little bit?
Jumping Jack Flash, she is a guess.
No, I don't know. Definitely. Still don't know it. Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I don't know the words, but I know that. Yeah,
you know the riff.
Okay.
I still love that song.
Looks like I'm cool, or cooler than I thought I was. I know 1 Rolling Stones song. I must know another one.
You would know Satisfaction.
You would know.
No.
You would.
You know such things.
You would know. Satisfaction. So Australian. Okay, moving on. Today was almost over before it even started. I didn't even wake up until about 11. The Edinburgh College of Art undergraduate prospectus arrived today. It's a really good place to go, but for the course I want to do, there's only 30 places going. That's like the size of one class. There are other places to go to, though. Only 5 days to go after today until I go to Australia. Not worried, though, and oddly not excited that much either. It's really crappy when the football season's out, but of late, I've been organising my fantasy football teams for the Telegraph Junior League and the Mirror newspaper leagues.
Oh my God, this is ancient. This is before, like, obviously online fantasy football stuff. So you used to have to cut out bits of paper with your transfers and send them in. So it was all like pen and paper stuff, and they would publish like player points in the newspaper. So it was just...
That sounds like an absolute pain in the arse.
Yeah, can't believe we did it.
This is enough to keep the withdrawal symptoms at bay until the season kicks off. The points of the Fantasy League start getting recorded on the 7th of August. Last season in the Telegraph Junior, that's a funny spelling, League, I came like 14,351st, which isn't great, obviously, but put it this way, the person who won the proper thing was in 100,000th place at Christmas of that season. This is very complex.
It is.
My star player was then Dion Dublin for Coventry and Aston Villa. Also today, watch the Goodness Gracious Me comedy night. It's about Asians and English slagging each other's cultures off, basically.
Is it?
I feel like I remember that. I feel like there was a really popular Asian family back in the early 2000s. They ended up doing a cover of, what's that song? They did a cover with Gareth Gates.
It'll come to you. But they were really, really funny.
Well, there's spirit in the sky. It was spirit in the sky. It's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. And they'd be like, not Mumbai, it's bloody India. And like they'd say like stupid things like that in the background. I'm sure that's the family. Anyway, I digress.
A few days remaining, so must start packing clothes for Oz. A very clear sky today, no clouds at all. Had a water pistol fight in the street, which was fun. Played tennis in the street with David, Lisa and Suzanne, and we chatted amongst afterwards for quite a while. One of the more humorous ones was the one embarrassing thing that had happened to us in the shops. Lisa's was the funniest. Apparently once, as they were leaving Safeways, Paul picked up a packet of condoms and asked his mum, "Can I try these new sweets, Mum?" She said no and cried loudly, so everyone heard. And he cried loudly so everyone heard, and they all looked at them. July 27th, I got barely any sleep last night. The sun came up at like 4 a.m. I'm a bit nervous about going to Australia at the moment, and that's probably why I woke up so early. Also today...
I really don't like this also, sir.
Bought some new bootlaces. Not a lot happened today. Yeah, no shit. Before I leave Australia, 2 vital stats. Weight, 12 stone 4. Height, 5'10".
You were nearly at full height then.
Nearly. Apparently I'm taller than my brother Philip. Wednesday, 28th July. Today inside I felt like shit. Felt like I had bruised inners. I'm nervous because everyone else is, and all this extra anxiety is making me very tense. I was pretty crabby today also. I kept having to check things are in the right place 3 and 4 times over. Also today, I watched the final episode of a series about identical twins. I found out they are never actually identical exactly as their fingerprints show, and then I've tried to draw 2 fingerprints.
That's because your fingerprints are made after birth, aren't they? Like they're made from, so like when you're like putting your hands down and stuff and putting pressure on your fingers, like that's how like your fingerprints become unique, like in the first few months of life.
So do babies not have any?
No, I think they do, but I think like all the ridges and all like the whorls and stuff that you get, like maybe everyone is born with similar ones, but the actual fingerprint is shaped from like those first few months where you're moving around and putting pressure on your fingers and stuff like that, and that's why they're all unique.
See, that's the sort of information that would have been interesting to find out at like school. Like, I'd rather
they don't tell you anything you need to know at school. We need to know how to buy a house and how to do taxes. And
I didn't need to know what an oxbow lake was, but I still found out what an oxbow lake was.
That is a fair bit of interest in geography, though.
And have I used trigonometry since I left school?
Well, you have.
Have I?
Well, you have. Like, you have to use like trigonometry and general arithmetic and what's the other one called?
I remember one called Pythagoras.
Not
That was useless.
Not Pythagoras. Algebra is what I was trying to say.
Is that the other?
The general term for like maths, not a very specific like Pythagoras' theorem. What is Pythagoras' theorem?
I don't know.
The square and the hypotenuse
Nerd!
is equal to the sum of the squares on the other 2 sides.
Yeah.
Obviously.
You memorised that well.
I did, because I was in special maths class because I was super brainy, and we had to like draw Pythagoras' theorem. And my dad, being the wind-up merchant that he is, used to say that Pythagoras' theorem was a theory about Mr. Pie who liked to eat Pythagoras. Like, my dad was just an idiot, and he used to wind me up. And I remember going to my head teacher and making him write a letter to my dad to say it's not about Mr. Pie, it's actually some really cool maths trick that Jess can totally draw.
Yeah.
I used to do it with like, what's it called, a protractor?
I'm going to ask your dad about how his theory worked.
Dad
with
just made
pies.
shit up. And because I was gullible, I used to fall for it every single time.
Did you write about pies in one of your maths exams?
Oh, probably.
Moving on. Mum cried when we had to leave, but I managed not to at all.
You're like, bye, bitch.
Philip was distressed because of this and worried about Mum all the way to London.
Nothing changes at all. That is you two, exactly the same, 25 years on.
Once we got to London, Phil was much better, and he was happy to ring Mum on the payphone.
Payphone! I used to make prank calls from the payphone to the free numbers, like the AIDS helpline, because I'm a terrible human being.
Did you?
Yeah, I used to call them up and say, and we always, like me and my friends used to take turns, we'd call them up and say, I've got AIDS and it's ruined my life. And 9 times out of 10, they would just hang up
Was
with us.
Sarah involved by any chance?
No, this was high school.
Oh.
I also remember calling like, is it Cadbury's or who makes like the Quality Street? Whoever makes Quality Street. I remember calling up their like advice line.
Is it Nestle? Or Cadbury's?
Maybe.
I think it's Nestle because Rose's
Could be Nestle. I remember calling them up and saying, I've got a really, really good idea. Like, not everyone likes the mixed box. Why don't you sell like individual like cases of, because I would just eat those like gold caramel coin things because they're the best. And they're like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks for letting us know. And then what's in the shops?
Mugged your idea.
Assholes.
I don't think they ever in history would have come up with that idea themselves.
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely not. I think it was a great idea.
Nobody else would have put in complaints or suggestions.
I even remember the phone box that I made the suggestion from.
Wow.
And I can remember the woman saying to me, that's a great idea. I'll pass it on. She took my name down.
Sounds like it's causing you some strife and bother all these years later.
Well, it's weird, isn't it, how you remember random shit like this.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I'm a terrible person, but I also have excellent confectionery ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Confectionery ideas, but also pretend you had AIDS.
That's really horrible, isn't it?
Yes.
I remember, I don't know if we called anything else. We never called like 999 or anything, but we did used to call like helplines.
So what, did you try to put on like a certain voice when you were
No,
pretending
I
to
don't
have
think
AIDS?
so. No, we just used to call up and we would take it in turns. We would like, everyone would stand outside the phone box, like staring in.
But you would have had to put on like, you wouldn't have been, you could have sounded like all rosy about it.
Well, I can't remember specifically if I put on a voice. But I was obviously trying to sound sad. And we thought it was hilarious. And we would go in one at a time and we would say, I've got AIDS and it's ruining my life.
Was that your opener?
Yeah. Because we never got any further because they'd be like, okay, goodbye. And they'd just put the phone down on us.
Well, they would know.
Who rings up like an AIDS helpline and says, I've got AIDS and it's ruining my life? Like, you'd have something more...
It could be somebody like
substantial to say. Well, we definitely weren't in tears. You'll probably hear us giggling. Terrible people. It was me. I think it was Dion. And I can't remember who else used to do it with us.
Crazy bitches. The flight from Newcastle to London was about an hour. We got taken by someone across some of Heathrow Airport to wait in a special lounge.
Your brother would have been 18 though, wouldn't he? Like, did you have to do the unaccompanied minor again? Oh my God, I hope you don't sit next to someone and take notes about their English.
Some poor Swedish couple.
I am very much looking forward to this flight. I can't wait to get to know my seatmates who are stuck with me for the next 12 hours.
Unfortunately, the lady who took us across the airport was labelling us as hopefuls to keep an eye on this kid who would be sitting next to Phil on the plane. Problem was he was French and partially deaf.
Oh, that's a terrible problem.
Okay. Throughout the very long and boring flight, that French boy was no bother. I even spoke to him a little French.
Oh, bonjour, croissant. That is like the extent of your French.
No, I remember what I said to him.
What did you say to him?
Well, I remember what sweet, like a sweet was in French.
Okay.
It was like bonbon.
Yeah.
So I just arched over with like fucking sweet.
You never said one word.
And I just went, bonbon.
How can you say I spoke to him in a little French way?
He's a little French.
You literally leaned over and went, bonbon, probably in like the most ridiculous accent ever. Did he take the bonbon or not?
I think he declined, but I can't remember whether he
But if
said
he was deaf
no.
as well.
Yeah. I think he might have just shaken his head.
Yeah, poor guy.
The flight from London to Singapore took the longest, but the Singapore...
Ooh, Singapore.
I've changed the spelling in the same sentence. The Singapore to Brisbane flight still took quite a while.
That's good though. The last time you went, you did like 5 flights.
Yeah.
So it's good that you've done the single this time.
We landed in the airport in Brisbane at about 4:45 a.m, a little earlier than estimated. I can still taste the stale air of the airplane cabin as I write this. Saturday, 31st of July, we got into the airport early enough. I slept for like 9 hours throughout the day. Australia smells different to England, especially the food. We went to Granny's for dinner, and it was nice seeing her again. And also Grandpa, who isn't getting any younger. I noticed he struggles to keep up with the conversation a bit, but he's still going well. Phil must have been interested to see 110 Kiona Road once more after many years away. Also today I found out that the Broncos and the Lions are both doing well in their respective sports. Earlier on, before the barbecue at Granny's, I went with Dad and Phil to the market, which was very Australian, very arty. It was really good because they had this scalp scratcher,
Oh, I love
which
a scalp
was very
scratcher.
relaxing. I've tried to draw a picture of it.
Oh my
Thingamajig.
God, I love those things.
They were good. They don't really sell them anymore.
They definitely still sell them. I'm like in the middle of scalp massage TikTok, and there's like this new thing where they do like a full scalp treatment, and they just like scratch every centimeter of your scalp, and I desperately want it done.
I can't think of a more disgusting thing to have to, like, imagine if that was your profession.
Yeah, but people like it. Like, it's nice making things clean, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're getting, like, somebody else's, like, dead skin and hair.
You wear protective equipment.
Your nails.
You wear gloves and wear, like, protective equipment. I think, like, the people that do the knit, like, the de-knitting, like, that would traumatise me, because how do you just not get knits?
Yeah, they'd leap onto you.
Yeah.
They'd scurry up you.
Also today,
went to Zen's for a short while and played on his N64, GoldenEye, beat him many times, Tales of a Misspent Youth.
Today we went to Brookside Shopping Centre and got some of the more likeable Aussie foods, such as Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops are not Australian, are they? They're American.
Yeah, but you couldn't get them in
I guess
England.
so. And muesli bars, which you don't get much of at all in England. In the afternoon, we went on the Brisbane River Cat. Oh, there's a surprise. If you chance me, should go on that again. Which speeds up and down the river like a Ferrari. Ironically, the front of it looks much like a Ferrari F40 sports car bonnet. No, it does not. There were many photo opportunities to be had, and brilliant views of the urban cityscape was bunched up and down the shores. That's you listening to your dad. That is your dad's words coming out of your mouth. I enjoyed today much more than Philip because it was physically quite demanding. Today we climbed Mount Warning. We've never done that, have we?
No.
Which is an interestingly shaped mountain which has a climbable rock tower at the top. It's over 1,100 foot tall, but we could drive up the side of it to half-out journey, which still took 4 to 5 hours. Going up was the hardest on the legs, but the most demanding part was the rock tower at the top, which is only climbable because of its chain and foot grooves. It was a wonderful view at the top, if occasionally clouded and cool. We boiled a billy and had some tea. What's that mean?
Like, I think it's just like a can, isn't it, that you put over the fire, heat up the water.
No idea. On a well-constructed lookout point.
Part of that famous song.
Please sing.
Waltzing Matilda. One of the lines in that is, waited while my belly boiled.
Is it?
Yeah.
My grandma used to sing that to me. Dad seems keen on getting Philip and I some Dunlop K26s for walking in.
He was obsessed with those trainers. They were like from Big W, and I think they cost like...
They're going to be proper.
Not a lot.
I've never seen a Dunlop K26, but I imagine it's a proper dad shoe.
It is
like that
the
white...
definitive dad suit.
Yeah.
It's not white. Let me show you. That's what it is.
Oh my God, that is ugly. How is that a walking shoe?
I don't know, but apparently it's got an appreciation society.
Oh my God, no thank you. So did you...
I'd wear that now though.
Yeah, well that's because you're a 40-year-old man. Today, Dad wanted to meet up with a friend called Warwick, who lives in Sydney, but would be stopping at the Gold Coast for a short while after a yacht race. His vessel was called Braveheart, but he'd already left there by the time we got there. Instead, we shopped a bit. I got an Australian number plate, which was made of metal. On that day, we also went to the Currumbin Bird Sanctuary, which was good because all the lorikeets flew down to feed on milk that we held in pans for them to drink out of. It was very photogenic.
I remember that.
And like these days as well, photos were taken on like film cameras.
Yeah.
You couldn't even check out
35mm.
your photos until after you'd got them processed.
Yeah.
So you might have thought it was photogenic, but probably most of your photos were shit.
Well, I wasn't taking the photos. Dad was, and he was, he's had a good camera and whatnot.
Of course. Today, I wake up with a silly shock. Dad opened my curtains when I was still half asleep, and when I turned over and saw his figure, I almost jumped out of my skin. Same, man. I would do exactly the same. He was getting me out of bed because we were going to get ready to go to Stradbroke Island.
Stradbroke, yeah.
It took about an hour to get to the ferry, which would take us over. Stradbroke Island isn't as populated a place like Bribey Island because it hasn't got a bridge, an easier way to travel to an island rather than ferry. Besides the lack of a bridge, the island still has quite a lot of people living on it. We got taken by a tour guide. Say that again. We got taken by a tour guide to a small brick building where we met 3 other people that were on the same tour. We also had morning tea there. Stradbroke is a natural sand island, so you'd expect it to be quite flat, but it's quite rugged and hilly. The whole idea of going to the island is to get back to wildlife. That we did. We saw whales, and dolphins. From lookout points on the higher cliffs of the island, a dreary day at first turned out to be a 20-degree beater And it couldn't be a more scenic one too. To my pleasure, I got a good glimpse of a huntsman spider too. It was quite big for that time of year.
Then I've got a picture of the spider.
And a picture. It's quite a good picture, although it appears to only have 6 legs.
Might just be like perspective.
No, I don't think it is. I think that you have mistaken a large ant for a huntsman spider.
I remember we were prodding it.
Why would you do that?
To make
They
it
move
move.
so fast. Today I went to the Ekka with Zen, Phil and Dad. The Ekka is the Queensland Royal Exhibition. The attraction is vast, and the thing that makes it popular the most is the Ekka bags, which are full of many assortments. So is this like the Adelaide show?
Yeah.
I got the Fair Income Aussie show bag, the Redskin bag, and a small Coke bag that had a little ball in it for playing rugby. It was a good laugh. We ate so much junk food and went on a few rides too. A small roller coaster and 2 simulators were the main ones, but I got my first blag on the Dreamcast console, which, to keep a really long story short, Mint. Mint's a Mancunian word. You can't say it as a Geordie.
Geordie's definitely used it.
I really want one. The game I played was an ace game called Sega Rally. Apparently they cost £200. At the end of the day, we went and watched the wacky cars, horse races, parachutists, and fireworks in the main arena. This is sweet. Every day is like one of the best days. Like yesterday was the best day, the day before was the best day, today is the best day.
Today was one of the best days so far in Australia, probably the best. First I went on a walk with Dad to get a paper from the store, but first we explored the Bank Street Reserve. It was a canny little walk, and I even saw a bee's nest at ground level on the side of the tree. Dad had a meeting with the town mayor and some other uninteresting people, so Phil and I went to Granny's. I explored the garden, only at the front first because of the rain bogging out the back. I was looking for spiders, but only found a few. I was hoping for a game of tennis when Dad got back, but continuing rain meant this was doubtful, so when the rain did stop, I swept the court of leaves and a bit of the silt back that had gathered. When he got back from the meeting, it stopped raining, so we had a good game in. When we finished, we stayed for dinner, which is okay.
I would love to know what the dinner was.
I just loved that I'm at 110 Kiona Road. It's brilliant. I had looked up a number of someone from Mitchelton where I used to go to school, and I thought I'd give it a blast and see if it was the correct number, and it was. I couldn't believe it, and I was trembling. The girl who I rang was also a good swimmer who used to swim with me at school with some other people in the morning. Her name is Lisa Bannon, and from what I can remember, she was quite a looker.
Here we go.
So fingers crossed.
Are you calling somebody in the UK from Australia to try and hook up with them? Is this what's happening?
Someone that I used to go to school with in Australia before I moved to England.
Oh, so she's still in Australia?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
She didn't remember me to start off with, but I got her to look at some old class photos in Eureka.
You've got this weird guy with a really strange accent, I assume, because you were like well into half Geordie, half Australian accent.
Yeah.
Calling somebody up, be like, you remember me? We went to school together. You left Australia when you were like 9.
And now I'm trying to hook up with her.
So this is like 7 years ago. And this poor girl, and you're like, go upstairs, get your photo album, have a look. Look at me.
That is pretty random, isn't it?
That's what I mean. Like that's.
If somebody did that to you when you were that age,
weird.
Would you think it was weird?
I don't know if this is weirder, or you speaking to those people on the plane and writing about
What jobs they did.
What jobs they did. And
Like
I just imagine you just with this captive audience that can't leave. And you're like, oh, that's very interesting. Tell me what. Please pause. I need to write a note in my diary.
Hang on. How did I get her number?
You said you just looked up someone who had the same name. Look, I looked up the number of someone.
So I basically cold called this girl.
You were calling her from Australia. You used to swim with her in the UK.
No, in Australia.
So you were like 9
Yeah.
when you left Australia.
Yeah.
And you're now 16.
Yeah.
So you called this girl, Lisa Bannon,
Yeah.
and said, hi, Lisa. We used to swim together 7 years ago. Keep reading.
She didn't remember me to start off with, but I got her to look at some old class photos at Eureka.
That's even worse.
So this is before, obviously, like social media.
Yeah, but so you've called this 16-year-old girl at home who you haven't spoken to for 7 years,
Yeah.
and you've just been like, what do you mean you don't remember me? Go upstairs and get your class photos now. Like, one, how do you find those things? And you're just sitting on the phone waiting for her to go and troll through
Presumably.
and find like 7-year-old photos.
Not weird at all.
I've got no words. I've literally got no words. But, like, keep going. Like, what?
She was quite fascinated and claimed that she hadn't had this sort of call before. Yeah, no
Obviously.
shit.
Can you imagine if she had?
We talked for a while, and I unsure who I was by asking if she still knew who I was from that class, naming a few in addition to myself. I organised to meet her at Hungry Jack's in the city
out.
on Saturday at 1. It worked.
Get out.
I think she was the someone I danced with, like my first kind of school dance.
Oh my God.
And it was a fancy dress dance, and I think I was dressed up as Superman.
I mean, this is like, of course you were, but like, this is quite a lot of game. It's weird, but it's quite brave of you.
For like a short-term visit as well.
Yeah, because what are you expecting to get out of this?
No idea.
I mean, you were still a virgin at this point.
Yeah.
Please continue.
I was amazed at the succession of the phone call. It seemed like the only way to round off the conversation was to see if she wanted to go out. She was keen to see if I wanted to go anywhere else, if I wanted to get anyone else's number, but I wasn't too sure. I wasn't convinced that several other people would be... I was convinced that several other people would be doubtful to who I was, but I decided to take another girl's number.
Of course it was just
She was called Linda Graham. I think Linda Graham actually lived on my street. And she actually lived on my street. So I reckon if I can hit off a conversation with someone who I can barely remember, I was only 9, then I could chat up someone who was in the same street. I think that I did play with her a bit when I was younger, but I have a feeling she may remember me. I'll ring her tomorrow.
So the fact that she's offered to give you other people's numbers means that she sees this as more of a friend thing.
Yeah.
For my thing. And also, you can't just give out people's numbers now. Like
you can choose to have them unlisted.
Yeah, but
I'm
like
assuming that I've just gone to a phone book
Lisa,
and like
you
gone
have.
through,
That's what you said.
scoured through and looked for like Bannon.
How many
Bannons are there?
Bannons did you call, I wonder, before you hit look?
I have no idea.
No.
That'd be interesting to know.
Okay.
But I don't know, Brisbane, like, how many Bannons could there possibly have been at that point?
I'm interested. Please, I want to know about this.
Thursday, 26th of August, managed to get the guts to ring up Linda also, but she was back at work, so her mum said to me I could catch her before she went to school tomorrow. She sounded pleasant enough. Next day, up until now, the phone venture had been going well. I'd got up at the crack of turkeys just to ring a girl who I didn't really know, and when I did talk to her, she was very unhelpful. I said almost the same to her as I said to Lisa. I thought it was bound to be a winner. Wasn't successful being up to that point.
This is hilarious. This is like you learning that women are different and then that you can't just say the same thing to everyone.
I thought it was bound to be a winner, but it wasn't to be. Maybe it was just the wrong time of day to make that kind of phone call. Yeah, I reckon. I could tell by the tone of her voice that things weren't going to head off. Bitch.
Oh my God. What do you call those men that like are celibate, like, but... Oh, what do they call them? Like the celibate by choice. Incels. Involuntary celibate. So incels are involuntary celibates because women just don't like nice guys. And this is exactly like the tone of that. Like, she didn't like me, she must be a bitch. There's no other reason why.
I was embarrassed, and then I was worried about meeting Lisa. And if that would be the same bittersweetness, but in a visual way.
Oh, we're not out of... Have you got more?
I don't think there's more. Yeah.
This is so good. I was proper getting into this.
I did catch up with her for a date.
And?
She brought a friend initially, presumably just to make sure I wasn't some weirdo stalker, which I was. But the date went fine. Well, I don't know. It was more of just a catch up.
Yeah.
But just getting to her a little bit. But we did keep in touch for a bit after that.
Did you kiss her?
No.
So it wasn't really a date, was it?
No. But that was obviously my ambition.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't. And then we kept in touch. We did a bit of like letters,
Pen pals.
pen and pals,
Yeah.
going back and forth for a bit.
That's nice, though.
Yeah.
I love how, the first half of your Australia trip, you were writing about all these exciting things that you were doing. And then for like the last half, it was just about these phone calls. And I'm sure you were still going out and seeing family and doing all these interesting things every day. But you were like, no, very focused on Lisa Bonet.
Bannon,
or whatever her name was. Oh, man.
That would be funny to hear her take on it.
Yeah, it would.
There's some entries for the year 2000, not too many.
You have missed like all the run up to like Y2K and the Millennium Bug and all that kind of stuff. Like all of these really important moments in our lifetime.
Maybe a way to fill in the gaps would be is if we got guests on the show who knew me at the time.
Yeah.
And to talk about what I was like in, various events and things for that period, because it is very sparse. The entries between like 97 and 2000 is,
Where were you at Y2K?
2000, I was definitely still in Cramlington in the northeast.
Do you remember like having a New Year's party for Y2K?
We did. We had a street party, and I had just turned 18 earlier that month, and I got just absolutely plastered on Scrumpy Jack cider.
Oh, gross.
And we were dancing in the street, and then I was like pretty much passed out on my neighbour's like banister, sort of stairway. And then I got taken home, and I was like violently sick in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
And that was my New Year's, but everyone was out. Like, everyone was so up for it.
Yeah. Right, let me do this bit then. You did the last
This
bit.
just looks like a recording of a dream, but anyway.
I dreamed a dream of time gone by. Last night I dreamed I was being driven in a car along this dirt track with a metal cage fence on each side. On the left behind the fence was a bunch of poor houses, one of which was a caravan. I think I was going to meet Raymond Smee's uncle. This uncle is into dance music and seemed to have every dance compilation ever. In real life, he lives in West Denton. I ended up driving to the end of the dirt track to a psychiatrist's home where Ray's uncle was staying. Once I got in and met him, it was clear why he was here. He kept on talking about one thing and then another. It was a bit scary, especially when his tone became more aggressive. I was next being chased. I don't know by who, but I know they were bad. I was running around this house, but each door or stairs I ran into ended up in the same place. Oddly, I got put in a psychiatric home, but I kept babbling garbage. I wanted to escape, so I sneaked into this bathroom with a window. There was a slight sense, spelled S-E-N-C-E, but that looks like the C with the S at the bottom that's French. Maybe you were trying to be like, speak Francais.
No, I reckon I've drawn...
Bonbon, sensei.
I've drawn the C and then put the S bit on the end, I reckon.
of dream deja vu, also spelled it correctly. I cleaned the shelf of this windowsill and threw out what I might need to take with me to survive. I climbed out the window and jumped 15 feet into a back garden. Someone heard. I run and threw my stuff over the two side fences of the house. What do you mean? You threw them over the two side, like one to the right, one to the left. Like, ta-da! Which way's going to be best? It felt like I was escaping from jail and I needed stealth. It was crazy the things I threw over the fence. 3 plants without pots, a garden fork, and a few scruffy clothes. I thought someone heard me, so I jumped over the 2 fences. Again, how do you jump over the 2 fences if they're on the other side of the house? But whatever.
Consecutive fences, maybe?
Maybe. And ran away. That was a dream to nowhere.
And that's the year 2000.
And then did we skip to 2003?
It must be like just a massive gap. So I have...
You'll be 21 then, won't you, in 2003?
So I've joined and done a couple of years at University of Sheffield.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to get into the University of Sheffield. Mm-hmm. And I remember I got my A-level results and I was just like devastated. Mm. I think I needed an A and 2 Bs or something. And I think I got like a B, C and an N. I failed economics.
Loser.
Yeah.
Economics is extremely boring.
It is, and I don't really know why I did it. I did it in the first place. But I did design and geography, got into University of Sheffield, and the first couple of years were just insane.
Insane in the membrane. Good insane or bad insane?
Good insane. I reckon we should stop it there.
I'm happy to stop there.
Then we'll get to 2003 and 2004. University years.
Oh, that should be good.
Should be juicy.
Have we missed Your virginity losing. You didn't write about it.
No. Still a virgin.
Still a virgin. All right,
Still.
excellent. I'm glad.
Still.
I'm glad. Yeah, because you waited for me, didn't you? Babes.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Awkward
Why are you
looks.
red? You're lying to me.
Red faces.
You are so red. You're a beetroot.
Okay. And on that bombshell,
Au revoir.
farewell.
Ça va.
Ça va bien.
Merci.
Bonbon. Follow Badly Written Boy online. We're at badlywrittenboy.com. Also find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at Badly Written Boy. Like and subscribe our podcast on Spotify and YouTube, and please leave a nice review.